You are on.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the introduction, Karen, and great to be with you all today. As Karen mentioned, I'm with Jewelers Mutual. I've been with Jewelers Mutual for, my goodness, almost 18 years now, in a variety of roles. And so I have a pretty extensive insurance background and operations background, and currently lead our sales organization. I'm located in Neenah, Wisconsin. Um, which is just south of Green Bay. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And really, Neenah is this very little special town. And so love it. Looking forward to spending some time with you today. As Karen mentioned, I'm totally open to questions. Would love if this was conversational. And feel free to just kind of chime in and we'll talk through this. But excited to be spending time with you today. We're of course gonna tell you a little bit about JM for those of you who don't know. We have a pretty cool story, and as Karen mentioned, I love the artichoke example. I think everyone knows us as JM, the insurance company, but we do so much more than that. So we'll go through a few of those other than insurance. I like to call them benefits today. And then just more generally, as you think about managing your business and managing risk, we'll talk through some common risks today, both in the jewelry industry and the retail landscape in general. I want to talk through some other than insurance risk management strategies. I'm not an expert, but I can dabble a little bit in the other than insurance space. I want to make sure that this group leaves with some advice on choosing an insurance advisor as you think about your business and how you manage risk. That insurance advisor is a really, really key piece of that. And I want to make sure everyone feels very comfortable, very confident in that choice. So we'll walk through some options there. And then I will talk through our commercial insurance offerings at JM, as well as some of our ancillary services. So this may be a surprise to some, but we are able to insure businesses that are outside of the jewelry landscape. And so I'll walk you through how we do that later in the presentation. But let's just kick off and talk a little bit about JM. I'm so privileged and honored to be able to tell the JM story every single time I have the opportunity. But we are a 113-year young company. We really do reinvent ourselves all the time. We are very, very innovative, but we were founded for the industry by a group of jewelers in Neenah, Wisconsin, who needed insurance coverage for their businesses. And that's really where we have our roots, but we've branched out from there. We, as Karen mentioned, very tied to and exceptionally passionate about giving back to the industry. So last year, we gave back over $90 million in personal jewelry claims reimbursements, as well as industry support. And our customers love us. We have over 12,000 five-star Trustpilot reviews. And when we're bringing those customers back to that retail landscape, 55,000 of them came back to the jeweler of their choice for either an insurance claim or a care plan claim. And so one of our just main missions is to tie our retailers and to tie others in the industry back to their customer. We're super passionate about that. We all win when the customer wins. And so if we don't tie them back, that's really the future lifeblood of all of our industries, whether it's jewelry or retail in general. So very proud to be able to do that. Little bit about our company's success. I won't go through all of these, but from a pure insurance perspective and our core, we have 39 years of AM Best A+ superior rating, which really just means we are very financially strong. We are able to weather storms. We will pay claims, and we are just a very strong company. And AM Best is the rating organization that's preeminent in insurance. And so we hold that rating very, very closely. The other one I want to touch on here is Wards 50. So yeah, you can use this trivia fact the next time you're at a cocktail party, but there are over 3,200 insurance companies just in the United States alone. For the last 15 years, Jewelers Mutual has been recognized as one of the 50 best out of those 3,200. Very proud of that. It comes from a balance of consistency, as the logo says, safety and performance. So Wards will look at everything from our customer ratings, our commissioner history in all of the different states where we are, and we're in all 50 states, but out of the 50 states where we are licensed to write business, they'll do a deep dive into our financials and then they come back and rank everyone. And so we're very proud to be able to say we've been on that list for 15 years. It's fantastic. From an industry perspective and a jewelry industry perspective, and also other than jewelry, we're endorsed by all of these organizations, many who you are familiar with. I don't need to go through the alphabet soup and the acronym splash page. You know all of these, but we're very passionate about being tied into the industry and giving back through many, many of these organizations. So let's hop in next to kind of some common risks, and just want to give you a landscape of what's out there and what's happening. So a few things to think about. In jewelry alone, 1,200 plus crime incidents in 2025. That's from JSA, from their 2026 report. 54% of retailers are reporting an increase in repeat offenders. So that's from our NRF foundation. They're having a smash and grab, and then they're having another smash and grab. And that's just super disruptive to business. It's alarming to your customers, and it really puts kind of the question of safety into play. So 46% of retailers are reporting violence with their guests and their customers, and 67% recorded an involvement with a organized theft group. And so crime is not going away. It's here to stay. JSA, Karen mentioned them before in your event with them, which is fantastic. They're a very, very good partner of ours. What we're seeing with them is that crime against jewelers specifically, it's becoming less frequent, but it's much more costly and it's much more organized. So even though total incidents are falling about 13%, the dollars impacted are rising. And the question I often get is, well, is that due to increased gold values? Yes, some of it is. However, because these groups are more organized and more sophisticated, they are really pulling off some highly, highly planned out thefts. So we're seeing the use of jammers to impact alarm signals. We are seeing safe break-ins and very large burglaries happen. And the organized piece is happening as well. So we'll have a crew pop up in a certain geographic area. They will either leave and go to a new one, or they'll get arrested, but others in their group then pop up in another area and continue these very well-planned crimes. We're having escalated threats. And so burglaries are very organized. Again, fewer of them, but dollar losses held steady. And from the NRF, they're actually seeing more organized retail crime happen. Violence is up, and the violence is actually outpacing the thefts that are happening. So whether that's a vehicle being smashed into a building, pepper spray is another very common one, smash and grabs, they are up. And also that violence against employees is up as well. This number jumps off the page to me. 73% are reporting more aggression and more violence through the NRF. That's really scary. And so when we think about what do we have to keep us safe, we'll talk about that in a minute. What are the tools we can use? Insurance, and then those other risk mitigation options. And weapons have always been a reality in these industries, but they're up. We're seeing more guns and more weapons. And the one that's really alarming is the burglary in a home. The reality is anyone at any time can be followed to their home or someone else's home. You know, when you think about your work in this industry, just assume you're probably being watched at some point. Make sure you're taking mitigations to work through that. But the use of weapons is really, really frightening. So let's talk a little bit and move forward and talk about, okay, what can I do about this? I don't love this slide, I'll be honest with you, because it's so wordy, but I love what it contains. So 10 strategies to mitigate risk without insurance. By the way, I think you should always have insurance, but it can't be the only risk mitigation option you have. They're numbered, but they're in no particular order. The first three actually really work in kind of a triangle, and they're all connected. But risk, governance, and ownership. So this is really works very well with enterprise risk assessment and then your business continuity. I'm going to talk about them all in the same. But first of all, think about your business and what could happen. Scan your operations, scan your finances, look at your cybersecurity posture and the risk you may have there. Compliance, work safety, your supply chain. We'll talk about all of these later. Your physical location. What are the threats you could have? You can get together as a team and brainstorm what might happen in every single one of those scenarios. You can also, there are groups that specialize in risk assessment and then mitigation. You can hire a consultant and they'll come in and help you do this. But really think through your enterprise risk and what is out there, and then how do we combat that? So once you've gone through and talked about all the horrible things that could happen, for those of you that there were a few on early, but an example I'll give you is we had a very, very large tornado hit in our area this week, about a mile from our office. We at Jewelers Mutual have an operations plan and a catastrophe plan. And so we've put that into action because we have some members of our team that have no power, have no place to live, can't get into the office. And so we have ways to contact them when either our office is impacted or they're impacted. That's something you should think about when you're putting together your business continuity plan, your disaster recovery plan. A key piece of that is to really think through also threats outside your four walls. So if you have a key system that goes down, maybe your point of sale, your phones, your internet, how long can that system be down? What's acceptable? And then how are you going to recover that and bring that back up? Alternate work locations. I guess one of the most positive things to come from COVID is so many of us can work from home. But if you're in a retail operation, that's maybe not a reality. Something happens to your location. Can you move? Can you move your operations online? How long would that take? That's all part of your business continuity and disaster recovery plan. And then when you've built that out, every risk should have an owner. So if the risk is, I'm worried about a fire in my store, all of the things that could happen follow. Here's what might happen if we have a fire, and here's what we need to do. And then someone should own that risk, and that should be clearly assigned. And this is something that, you know, depending on the size of your business and your risk tolerance, you could go through this annually. You can go through it every other year, just really all depends. But those three things working kind of in that triangle together are critically important. Cybersecurity, if any of you have an online presence, cybersecurity is a big one. How do you not get hacked? How do you keep your customers' information very safe? Think about your technical controls for both your customers and your employees, and make sure that you've got safeguards in place to keep your online posture safe. Another key area of risk is your supply chain. Think about how you can mitigate risk there by diversifying your suppliers, maintaining some safety stock, and having relationships with some backup vendors, so that if something devastating happens at one of your suppliers, you are not impacted and your business can still operate successfully. The compliance environment and the regulatory environment may impact all of you a little bit differently, but that is certainly one that you should think about. Where do you need to be compliant? How are you documenting that? How often are you auditing that? And who in your business is responsible for that? There should be clear ownership and accountability of your compliance requirements, and then make sure that those are checked too, annually. Employee training and safety is a big one. There's all kinds of hazards that can happen to our employees, and especially in a retail environment. And also, if you are dealing with jewelry, it is dangerous. There are times opening and closing where you're just more vulnerable as a staff. Leaving the store, getting to the store in the morning, in the evening, those are really critical times. How are you training your staff so that they are safe? And what are your policies and procedures so that you always have more than one person closing a store? You have a code word if you feel like you're being cased. Those are some key things, especially in a jewelry retail environment, that you can consider and deploy with your staff. The next two really also partner very well together: emergency communications systems and your scenario planning and stress testing. So every year at JM, we go through some kind of fictitious disaster. Sometimes they are security related, like we've had a breach. How do we tell our customers? What do we do? Do we shut down our systems? When do we do that? Who makes that call? How do we talk to the press about this? Who's authorized to talk to the press? Those are all key components of our scenario planning and stress testing. And then what we do is we evaluate ourselves, and we have some pretty blunt conversations. And I would encourage you all to do the same, to really push on and make sure you're comfortable with, yes, we just went through this exercise and I feel like we did really well, or this part of our plan needs some work. So consider doing that at least annually, if not more, depending on, again, your business, your maturity, and what risks you might have. And then that emergency communication system is also very key. So making sure you have backup contact information for your employees, cell phones, text messaging. There's systems that let you, do this today, where your employees can log in, put in all their contact information, put in alternate contact information, and you can deploy a broadcast message through those systems. Finally, having processes and policy controls in place, standard operating procedures, access control, change management processes. These all help you minimize human error and the opportunity for someone to penetrate in a risk area. So that was a lot. And I just think this is a really great comprehensive list for you to think about. It's impossible for you to do all of this at once. It would be a full-time job plus. And my guess is that most on this call have a full-time job and other duties as assigned. But I think my recommendation is to think about which one of these can we really tackle as a business, which one is maybe most important or the biggest area of risk. Start there and then build in the others as you go. So that's what we can do with risk outside of insurance. Let's talk a little bit about risk and how we manage that through insurance and how we choose an insurance partner and then make sure we've got the right coverage as well. So one of the biggest things I think you can do as a business owner is to make sure that your insurance advisor is really a partner in your business. That person should understand how your business operates, your risk tolerance, your biggest areas for risk, and really understand kind of your growth trajectory, where you want to go in your strategy. They can be a wonderful partner and help you right size the insurance coverage you need to have as a business owner, knowing your risk tolerance and then your other risk mitigations in place. So choosing the right partner is really key. Here's some tips on selecting an insurance advisor. So first of all, some people call them agents, some people call them brokers, some people have a different name, but really the title of your insurance advisor matters. And here's why. Agents can sell policies from many different companies. So you will see these most often in, John Smith Insurance Agency. And John Smith Insurance Agency works with 50 different companies. They can insure your home, your auto, your business, your collections. They really are broad, and for you as a customer, can put together a great portfolio from many different companies and many different options. Captive agents sell policies generally from one company. So like a State Farm, they sell State Farm products. And brokers work on behalf of you and your business. They may charge you a fee, but they usually can go out and find many different markets. So it all depends on your comfort level, what you're looking for, what your business needs, but those are the different ways, different titles that you'll see insurance advisors represented. They should always be licensed. Insurance is highly regulated because states want to make sure that the consumer is protected. So make sure that your insurance agent is licensed and that the company is licensed in your specific state. Two places where you can do this, the NAIC, which is the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. They've got a great library out there of agents and brokers in your area, and you can do a search and make sure that they are all up to speed on their appropriate licenses. You can also go to your state insurance department website. That's a wealth of information on both insurance advisors and insurance companies, and just their health. Some of the insurance departments will have information about consumer complaints out there. It's a great place to do research. You'll see a lot of insurance professionals have letters behind their name. Sometimes looks like alphabet soup. So one that I have is a CPCU. It's a Chartered Property Casualty Underwriter. It means that I have gone through a bunch of classes beyond my other education to really learn about insurance coverage and be able to give advice to others on what their insurance could and should look like. So ask. This is a great question to ask your agent. What does that mean? What does AIC mean? What does CISR mean? What does CPCU mean? They will tell you. And in that conversation, you will learn a ton about their career and how they've developed and their specialty. And that should bring you a level of comfort that you've chosen someone who is really committed to learning about the industry and being part of the industry. Last but not least, I mentioned consumer complaints. So we all look for ratings, whether we are ordering dinner at a restaurant or whether we're looking for insurance. And it's really important for you to check for complaints with the company you may be getting a policy with. The Better Business Bureau is a good area as well, but the NAIC site will help. Your state insurance commissioner site will help. And then the Better Business Bureau, all great places to look for complaints. Want to get into now some more specifics on insuring your business and things that you can consider and should consider for your retail locations. So the first couple slides are going to really be grounded in Jewelers Mutual and what we offer and commercially insuring your business if you have jewelry to protect. So Jewelers Mutual, we talked about this before. We're rooted in the jewelry industry. That's where we got our start. And we really offer a wide variety of products to ensure that commercial business. If you're dealing in jewelry, I will say also there are times where we will insure jewelry. And then if you have some handbags or some collectibles, we can pull that into what is called a jeweler's block policy. A jeweler's block policy ensures the jewelry stock and covers customer goods, goods held for sale, things in on memo, anything that is considered your stock. And then the BOP policy, which is a business owner's policy, covers the business. So the liability, the building, the things inside your cases, your computers, all of that you need to run your business, that is all covered under a BOP policy. It is a very specialized policy. If you need a jeweler's block policy, I would recommend you work with someone who's very well versed in jeweler's block insurance, because the nuance between policies and coverages and what needs to be done in the event of a loss are all very different. And then Jewelers Mutual can also offer coverages as far as cyber liability. We have an employment practices liability coverage. We offer a really extensive risk management asset protection team. And we have things like water sensors free of charge to our policyholders, so that if you have a leak in your building, which happens all the time, and can be very destructive, it will alert you and you can go shut the water off. And that's just something we offer for free. Our asset protection services as well, if you have a question on a safe, an alarm, even the opening closing procedures, your processes, our team can absolutely help you with that, along with understanding the risk climate in your area. So if you are, let's make up an example, looking to open a new store in a new location, and you're trying to figure out the best place in the city to do that, our team can put together a risk profile for those geographic areas and walk you through pros and cons of your different options. And so we're absolutely happy to do that and really be your partner along with your insurance advisor for that retail coverage. The other thing that Jewelers Mutual does do is we protect personal jewelry schedules. And so for those of you that offer jewelry as your retail business, we are absolutely happy to partner with you and our various referral programs to get those customers insured. Many times, this is one of the biggest purchases they've made, especially if they're purchasing an engagement ring. And we want to make sure that no matter what happens, it is protected. So our policy is a replacement policy. We send that customer back to you as a retailer if something happens in the event of a claim, so that they can replace that item with you. We encourage them to come back to you for repairs, and we reimburse you, the retailer, versus having them cash out. And so there's just a few unique things with our policy that we provide for your customers. We do have we'll talk later about some referral programs that we have too for retailers. So this is the part of the presentation that I really enjoy doing. And we have really become at JM so much more than jewelry. So for those of you that aren't aware, we do have an agency. We own this agency. We've owned it for decades. But what it allows us to do is, if you go back to that slide where we talked about agents and how they work for many different companies and can provide many different options, that's what our agency allows us to do. So we have agents, we're appointed in all 50 states, and believe it or not, we insure over 320 different industries. So some that I think are so interesting are we insure some cell phone towers. We insure some clown businesses, so entertainers that are out there and performing. Daycares, our agency really can run the gamut, in addition to pawn shops and jewelers and other retailers, both kind of Main Street and high-end luxury. We can do all of that. We can also insure your home, your business, your art collection. We provide wedding and event insurance. And so I love this because it allows us to have customers stay members of the JM family and take advantage of all of the great benefits that we have for our insureds, but also gives them the power of choice. So we work with all of the biggest carriers: Hanover, Chubb, Liberty Mutual, Berkeley. We provide all of those products through our agency. And so I would encourage you, if you're looking for an agent or a certain coverage, we're happy to help you and would love to kind of partner with you on all of those insurance needs. Now we're going to get into the other than insurance space. And I know that many of you are shipping all the time to customers, to vendors. Vendors are shipping to you. It's such an integral part of your business. It's also sometimes a little bit of a pain. And so JM does offer a service, and we have a shipping company called JM Shipping Solutions. It allows you to really ship efficiently. So what you'll find is generally we can save you 30 to 90% on your shipping protection and your insurance. We have over 5,000 businesses using JM Shipping Solution, and we protect over $5 billion in packages annually. And what our shipping platform really drives is efficiency and transparency. So it allows you to create labels and add your protection. You can track your shipments in one spot versus having to go to different carrier pages. It supports high value shipping needs with an extra layer of security. It integrates with a lot of tools that you're already using at the point of sale. So WooCommerce, Shopify, and other key point of sale systems, we absolutely integrate with those. We have international shipping capabilities, and we also have the capability to show your duties and customs fees, so you're not surprised when that lands. We can estimate those for you in our platform and be that one-stop shop. The other thing that our platform really provides, and I hope that you see this theme throughout, is how do you mitigate a risk or prevent a shipping loss before it even happens? And we do that in two ways. The first way is we have protections built into our software and into our platform. So you do not use, for example, the word gold in a name of a place where you may be shipping a package. It shouldn't say jewelry. And also, if you mistype an address and that address doesn't exist, or the business doesn't match the address, it will not let you ship that package. We also have asset protection in place in two ways. First of all, if we see that there's a hot spot where packages are getting lost very frequently, and this is happening more and more frequently now in major hubs. So for example, in Memphis, we have seen elevated losses. Our system will say, don't ship that method, ship this method, or send it overnight versus 2-day, or it will give you a different carrier option so that it prevents that loss from ever occurring. It also has intelligence built in so that if the package was supposed to get there next day and by 4 p.m. it hasn't arrived, our team starts to track down and see where that package may be. They work to find it in that shipping system, and then we'll get it back on its way. And if for some reason we can't reroute that package, we will then start the claim process with the carrier and process that very efficiently. So it's just a great service that we can provide. I think the other thing that it's important to note is we can integrate with if you have rates with a certain carrier, we can integrate with those rates and you can still use our platform and keep your rates, which is a really great benefit. Last, I think this is our last kind of batch of content. I want to talk about specifically our jeweler solutions options. And so this is really where that customer comes back to you. And there's also, we just create that wonderful second buying experience in 3 different ways. First of all, a care plan. So what we find is care plan is really great for items that are in general $2,500 and under. It keeps those items looking new. It provides essential kind of wear and tear coverage for your customers. And then it allows them to wear their jewelry with confidence, and they don't have to worry about how much is it going to cost to have my prong retipped or my ring re-rhodiumed or my watch serviced. That care plan is really that maintenance policy for those items. That care plan can be sold at the point of sale during the transaction. It's offered in different terms for jewelry and watches. And there is a portion that goes to the retailer when you sell that plan at the point of sale. So it's a great, it drives revenue to you. It also drives that customer back to you and keeps their piece looking like new. The other thing that we offer is jewelry insurance. So insurance is for non-maintenance things. I left my ring on the restroom counter in a restaurant and I forgot it. It fell off when I was swimming. I ran it over with my car. It went down the garbage disposal. I simply don't know what happened to it. That is where insurance is critically important. And we, similar to Care Plan, we offer an insurance referral at the point of sale with your customers. We can do that in a bunch of different ways. You can do it in a brochure with a QR code. You can do that with a point of sale integration where it will send an email or a text message for a quote to your customer. We have online integrations for your e-commerce platforms where that can happen. But we really have a ton of different options to fit in with your sales process and make that a very easy referral. And for that referral, there is cash back to you for that referral bonus. Really, insurance is a huge need. So I love these facts. 62% of customers said their engagement ring was the first piece of fine jewelry they ever owned or purchased. 62% of customers said their engagement ring is one of the most expensive items they own. 46% of consumers said they trust their jeweler for insurance recommendations, second only to family and friends. And 55% of respondents that were uninsured didn't get their damaged rings repaired or replaced. And knowing what an emotional purchase that is, you can look like the hero when they come back to you and say, oh, I lost my ring. Yeah, did you get that Jewelers Mutual Insurance? I did. Great, we'll get you going. And that customer works with you through that whole repair and replacement process. So it's just a wonderful way to bring that customer back to you. With all of that, that is all of the content I have for today. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them and go through them with you. My contact information is here. Please reach out. I am happy to be a resource for all of you. I can connect you to our agency, to our business development team if you're interested in shipping or some of those other insurance protection plan options. But I'm just happy to be here with you today. And again, happy to be a resource for you.
Carrie, thank you so much. I will open it up if anyone has questions, but I will also share news that we got last week from one of our members that there have been a number of cyber crimes in the last week. We had one of our members was compromised and got a ransom ransom note for $200,000 to recover their systems. They were not backed up. They're not a big company. It wasn't like a massive brand. It was a modestly sized company, and there were a few others in the fine world that are um, being attacked. So,
Mhm.
just my advice is check your systems and think about that kind of coverage, because had they had it, they've been in agony for the last week trying to figure out what to do.
Yes. Karen's a great call out. Like cyber crime is absolutely on the rise. Um, the attacks are much more sophisticated, both to systems and then also with phishing attacks or smishing attacks. The they are very sophisticated as well. So you get the email that says your package didn't make it. Click on this link. We'll reroute it. Or the text messages that you get. That is all kind of a bucketed as cyber risk. And insurance can help with that. Absolutely, Karen. It is also making sure that your teams are trained and they understand this is what a phishing email looks like. This is what a fraudulent text message looks like. And that is a place too where your insurance advisor can help with that. There's also really good third-party tools out there that you can deploy to help train your staff, train your team members, so that they are also not compromising the systems without even knowing it. It is very scary, and it can be both prevented, and then insurance can help with that risk mitigation as well.
Any questions? Okay. We have recorded the session. We'll put it on our YouTube. So if you want to share it with anyone on your team, you'll be able to do that. Reach
Great.
out to Carrie directly, or if you want to, we can help connect you. And I thank you so much, Carrie, for your time. And my experience has just been your team is just terrific to work with. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great being with